Conversations with my mother. So today I'm going to continue to channel my mother, and I want to ask her more specifics about the way in which she died in order to shed some light for questions that I have had for many years about what the experiences were like for her. So here we go. So you died of cancer, and I want to know if you're willing to share more specifically what was your experience of cancer as you had it? And now that you're in an unembodied state, what do you see as the kind of role that cancer plays in our world? So I find that it's interesting that there is an uptick in the use of cancer as a lesson learning device. This is not to say that there is a need to have suffering be in the form of a lesson in all manners, but very often it is, as well as the perception of suffering in and of itself. In other words, when you experience a lesson in life that is very difficult in the form of a disease or in the form of a tragic accident or something along those lines, you are able to take that accident as a expulsion of energy that has been built up within your body over many years, if not many lifetimes. In other words, there has been a lot of energy that sits behind this thing that is pushing this out of your system. It's almost as if it's back pressure behind a clog in your energetic system. We would obviously love it if people did not have to experience suffering such as cancer. For me, the experience of cancer was one that filled me with humility, that filled me with a hatred for systems and authority, and that left me looking for a reason why. And so many people, when they experience cancer, they are often in this place. And I would urge everyone who has had an experience of cancer directly to see it not as a lesson bringer, more as an opportunity to open your heart. It's not trying to bring you a specific message necessarily, or it is easy to get caught in the trap of looking at it as a lesson giver specifically, but instead see it as an opportunity to open yourself up to love, because effectively cancer lives in the body because there is no life force that is moving through this. There is no life force moving through this because of the fact that you have not fully opened all of your body to love. It can be very difficult when you get into a cancer position to actually want to search for love and not instead search for a reason why or a cure. But I would encourage everyone on an energetic level, at a most basic level, to say, what parts of myself do I not love right now? And how can I shift that? If you have someone who is sick with cancer, who may be dying or maybe in remission or maybe in a prolonged experience with battle, we say not battle, but experience with cancer, it is important to recognize that your love and your support is one level of this, but also your ability to see this person as a fully loved being. See them as already healed, see them as perfect. It doesn't mean that you don't hold their hand through the difficult times. It just means that you are there to provide the support that is necessary in order to be able to help release your responsibility in seeing them as sick. This is a very subconscious place. This is not about placing blame. It is about recognizing that your job is to see them as perfect in every way possible. Thank you. You had an experience of a coma during your cancer in your last days. And I wanted to kind of ask you what it's like if there are people who have experienced the death of a loved one in which they seem to be slipping in and out of consciousness. We say it's kind of sleep. But can you tell us more about the experience of being in a coma from your perspective? Yes, that was a long time ago now. I find that for me, the experience of being in a coma was a dry run. It was an experience of needing to be outside the body while also experiencing the still remnants of my physical body. There was a lot of negotiation that went on in the time in which I was in a coma. a lot of negotiation in which I had to make decisions, and I had to understand the decisions that were necessary in order for me to be able to leave the body. I was highly resistant to this state because I wanted to take care of my children and I wanted to be there and be present in this life. And yet there were things that I chose not to let go of when I was in this coma state that I became fully aware of that I chose not to let go of. And then when I came back into the body, I was able to pass. So given the fact that I made the decisions there, you could almost say that my experience in a coma was a bit of a quest. It was a quest that happened on another level, something that was necessary in order for me to come back into my body fully or to pass on. Thank you. So I know that you were really into crystals during your life. And I wanted to ask you, I know that the crystals had some part in your passing as well. I kind of wanted to ask you what your thought and feeling was on crystals in general. I think that you said it well in your podcast many years ago, which is this idea that there is a form of liquid spell that is made solid, or there is an energetic spell that is made solid inside of a crystal. Imagine that there is a form of geometry that is the closest thing that we have to perfection. It's a form of orderliness or disordered orderliness, chaotic orderliness, as you could say, that is an expression of what arises everywhere, all the time. Whether it is an electromagnetic field that is pushing you towards a certain outcome, that is giving you certain thoughts, or whether it is a other force of sound or light that is coming into your feeling and that is coming into your being that is affecting the way that you see things. Crystals are more solidified, slower moving forms of these influences. So when someone says, turquoise is wonderful for protection, we recognize that the energy of turquoise is slowed itself down and it's made it so that you can actually have a material aspect of protection. Inherently, why does turquoise offer protection? Well, turquoise offers protection because of the fact that we have assigned it so. We recognize that over many, many years and in many circumstances, in very similar ways to how plants grow exactly where they are needed, so do crystals. And protection is probably not the sufficient word for turquoise. We can say that there is a realization of power in which you become impenetrable. This is very different from protection, which resonates more in the experience of fear. And so once we understand that we have a true calling that is asking us to listen to that which is inside of us, we develop an impenetrable field around us. And the turquoise helps remind us of that. Think of crystals as solidified spells that remind us of who it is that we are, and they bring out a certain resonance. It's almost like a solid song that is reminding us of the lyrics of what we need to know. So for me, in the experience of my death, the crystals that were laid on my body as I went to pass were able to help remind me of who I was to make my ascension process easier. Some people may choose to sit in meditation and help guide someone through the bardo, through the experience after life. Some people may choose to place crystals. Some people may choose to sit Shiva. Some people may choose to do any number of things which help us to remember who we are after we pass through the body. As we are releasing all the layers of bodily perception, we are able to come back to ourselves, and some things help lubricate the way. Wonderful. Thank you. Do you feel that there is a need for people to change and shift their view of death at this time? I don't know if there's a need to rush this change. I don't know if there's a need to come into an understanding of death in a different way. The journey that every person has with death is very unique to their journey, just like everything else is. So it would be very similar to saying everybody should learn this song or love this song right now. Because it's just good for them. It's like, no, it's good for certain people and it's good for certain experiences. So anybody who may be watching this video may find that they are in a dance with death, whether it is firsthand or whether it is somebody that they love or whether it is a fear that they have had. And it is a form of resistance. And they are in a spot where they have access to this. And because they have access to this, they can move into it. And in those cases, we say absolutely. But there are other people who are not in a space of death, and they do not need to go looking for their fear of death. They do not need to go looking for the experience of understanding their death. It will come to them whenever it needs to. It may not come to them before the moment of their death, and that is perfectly fine. Recognizing that every person goes through the lessons that they go through. Every person is given access to the things that they need to because it is exactly right for them. It is perfectly catered and customized exactly to them. So if this speaks to you, yes. If not, no, leave it. There'll be other times and opportunities. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming again, Mom.